Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. He is a four-time Emmy Award winner for his stellar work on Breaking Bad. He won the Tony Award for portraying LBJ on Broadway and All the Way, which is something you should definitely see on HBO as well. And he is soon to be in a theater near you on July 13th, playing an undercover federal agent trying to infiltrate his way into the world of Pablo Escobar. He is Bryan Cranston, the star of The Infiltrator. Good to see you, sir.
How are you? How are you? Good to see you.
Thank you for the help on the Iceland True or False right there.
I got into trouble by doing that.
How so?
Well, I didn't know which team I was on, so I didn't.
Yeah, you're a flip-flopper.
I'm a flip-flopper.
But that's okay. I mean, there's the mug that you're drinking from right now does not have somebody else's name on it. You know what I mean? Like, so at this point in time, when you walk in.
Yeah, I got to go with the muscle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll let you have this one.
Yeah, you give me that.
No problem.
So The Infiltrator, I'm sure you have many choices for you to choose from to do whatever you care to do in your career. Why did you choose The Infiltrator? Why did you choose to play Bob Mazur in this film?
This story is so magnificent. I mean, it's based on true events. Bob Mazur, real guy, lovely man, married with 2 kids, is also working for the U.S. Customs Department at the time. And his job is to infiltrate and take on a different character, and then at some point make a case and arrest these people. Well, he gets involved in some street-level criminals that trust him to do some money laundering, and he wants to go deeper and deeper. And all of a sudden, it's almost like the Russian dolls. You start uncovering, and there's another one, and another one. He's going deeper and deeper and deeper, and then the net is getting larger. With that, though, the danger of it all falling apart at some weak point can happen. So 2.5 years into this investigation, they decide they have to call it. They got 85 arrests out of this. Almost all were convictions, all sent to prison. And, like I said, the 7th largest bank in the world at the time, BCCI, was brought to its knees. It was a huge bust.
And it's not just any criminal that you were going after either. Well, I mean, you're talking Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big...
They were hoping to get all the way to him, but he was a very sly character.
Yeah,
they got up to his lawyer. They got up to and discussed things with his lawyer, and then they had to call it.
So did you meet Mazur?
Oh yeah,
this role?
Yeah. He was a consultant for not only the story, but for me to get an essence of who the man is. And I met and I just had dinner with him last night with he and Ev, his wife.
Okay.
Talked to his children about who their father was at this time. What really got me about this story, the plot was fantastic, but also this guy puts on a character. He was Bob Musella, an Italian who was Irish descent, so that was a trick. So the Medellin cartel think he's Bob Musella, works for the mob, and so he punches out at the end of the day, goes home, and he's Bob Mazur, a father and a husband, helping with homework and making the sandwiches for tomorrow, and tell I can do it. It's like, how does that happen?
It's like, sorry, honey, I got to go and try and track down Escobar and all his people. I'll be back around 5.
Or else I won't. I could be killed.
Yeah, right.
At any moment. It was that dangerous.
And then there's a great scene in the film where Musella's name is chosen essentially off of a headstone.
Yeah.
Was that true?
That's how they got the names.
So it's untraceable, basically?
Yeah, basically, so that they can get a hold of a real name that had a Social Security number, and then the government would then issue them that number again to the dead person who doesn't use it anymore. And so John Leguizamo and I do a scene where we're out in the cemetery. We're trying to find our names. The reason that he always went with a Robert or a Bob, because in the heat of a moment, if someone says, "Hey, Rich," you're going to turn around, even though you may have taken a different name. So he wanted to keep his first name the same.
And that's part of the drama and the suspense of this, Bryan, is that I'm sitting there thinking as I'm watching this that you're going to screw up, somebody's going to screw up, that something's going to happen, and then all of a sudden it's bad news for Bob Mazur. Because I coming in, I obviously knew about the BCCI scandal. I remember it.
Yeah.
I don't recall if this guy, what came of this guy, and I was really on the edge of my seat throughout this whole.
To this day, he doesn't allow himself to be photographed or video. If he was on this show, he'd be cloaked in darkness.
So what was it like going to dinner with him? I mean,
nobody knows what he looks like, so they just know I'm with a guy named Bob and his wife. They don't know who he is, and he sent a lot of people to prison, and they're not the kind of people who would forgive and forget, So it's a little tenuous.
Bryan Cranston here on the Rich Eisen Show studio. And LBJ, I mean, you channel the man. I mean, you absolutely channel the man. Did you watch all forms of videos of him? What did you do for that?
Part of the research, but you never want to get to the point where you're just doing that, because then you're going to create an impersonation of the man. You want to get to the essence of that. So what helped a lot is reading the biographies, where Robert Caro and Doris Kearns Goodwin and Joe Califano, everybody has a biography, and his own autobiography as well. And then talk to people who knew him, his daughters, his lawyer, as a friend, and so you try to get the essence of the man, and then you have to then just step up and let him speak to you. So with lifts and with some extensive makeup, you really feel the part.
And what was that like for you being on Broadway? I mean, just live performance as opposed to what mostly you've been doing.
Dead performances? Yeah. Thank you, Rich. In
front of live individual breathing people practicing photosynthesis.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. For a performer on stage, there's an ebb and flow and a relationship with the audience that you send out something. Like you could say a word and you can hear gasps, or you can feel the audience cringe if there's something a little more frightening,
right?
Or they laugh or something. You don't get that on doing film.
Do you have?
But in film, you get the ability to get very intimate, and you can get really, really quiet.
Sure. Do you have time for sports to watch? Or, I mean, do you have?
I when I was a kid, I followed every sport, all the majors, and then, then you kind of have to grow up and go, oh, I have to get a job. I have to actually have to, I'm happy that the Rams are back in town.
Yes.
To me, after leaving me high and dry, it's like I came home one day and my wife left me and took all the furniture, and it's like, oh my God, what happened?
Where'd they go?
For 20 years, I then lived like a bachelor in my relationship to the NFL. It's
what happened?
No, I didn't want to look at a game. No, I'm swearing off football. And now they're back, but it's so new to me. It's almost like they're an expansion team. Now, Todd Gurley, you hear him, and Jared Goff is coming in.
Yeah, sure.
And I just hope they don't put too much pressure on him. Just let him grow into that role. Don't say, hey, here it is. It's up to you. Lead us. I think it'd be a huge mistake.
So were the Rams a team of yours growing up?
I love
here?
the Rams.
That was your team?
I loved them.
Jack Youngblood and all those guys?
Yeah, the Fearsome Foursome going back, Gabriel and all. But they broke our hearts when they took off.
Now, the neat thing is that they're going to play in the LA Coliseum for the first 3 years. So it's football. Obviously USC's there. You mentioned your daughter had just gone to USC.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not like football was stopped in the Coliseum.
No.
But, when the Rams came back, we had Jack Youngblood on the show, and he said, I've always dreamed of running through the tunnel one more time for a Rams game.
And he'll have that chance
I imagine the Rams will be all over that.
I want that. Yeah.
To have that happen.
To get back to the history of it, tie it in, because there's still people around who are old enough, like me, that remember this team, and rooted for this team.
Right.
Now they're back, and it's exciting.
So Dodgers, were you a Dodgers guy?
Huge Dodger fan.
Okay.
In fact, my first Dodger game was at the Coliseum before they built Dodger Stadium at Chavez Ravine. My production company is named Moonshot, and partially because of the circumnavigating the moon and getting that slingshot back, taking chances, and also because of Wally Moon. Wally Moon, a left-handed batter with the Dodgers early on. He was a left-handed batter. The left field fence was a very short porch, kind of like Fenway. They had a 40-foot high fencing.
Yeah.
And he learned how to just do a little uppercut, pop it up and over. They called him moonshots, and he hit home run after home run.
Yeah, they just had I think a few years ago, an exhibition game, and I went to that.
Did you?
I did, and I just couldn't believe. I felt like from my seat I could have thrown a ball over the wall.
Yeah.
That's how close. The dimensions are really
Very
odd,
close. It was
obviously.
It was like 220 at its deepest.
Yeah.
It was like, I can do that.
You don't normally see that as a first number on the wall for the distance for a home run.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I just saw doing that. So I'd imagine Vin Scully is somebody that you've been that you revere, Brian.
I was born and raised in Los Angeles, so the Dodgers came out after the '57 season, and so I was born in '56. That's all I remember is hearing that voice, and through a very, at times, trying childhood, difficult childhood, I could always tune in the Dodger game and listen to that voice, and for the 3 hours, it just made me feel that, okay, at least everything is okay for this period of time, and a comfort and reassurance in his voice just is endearing, and I will miss him greatly.
Yeah, there's so many stories that are being told about his career right now, Brian, and one story that I heard recently is, I guess, an executive of the Dodgers was having a conversation behind the cage prior to a game. People are hitting, and somebody was talking about the bunt and what Branch Rickey thought about the bunt, and then Vin comes in and goes, well, I know what Branch Rickey thought about it because I talked about it with him.
He told me. Yeah, it's like, oh, right.
Sort of like that Lloyd Benson moment, like, I know Branch Rickey, and you, sir.
Or no, Branch
You know what I mean?
Rickey.
It's just it's like one of those moments. Can you stick around for one more second
Yeah,
with me?
by the way,
yes, sir.
pulling out the name Lloyd Benson.
How about that one?
You got to get a point for that.
Well, look, if we're talking Texas politicians,
There
you
you
know what I
go.
mean? It's just full circle
cool,
right here.
Texas.
Just trying my best.
Damn, you're doing a hell of a job there, Rich.
Thank you very much, Brian. Bryan Cranston, The Infiltrator's in a theater near you on July 13th. We'll talk more about that. And if you don't mind, I'd love to talk a little Walter White with you when we come
Gosh.
back. Okay, we're back here in a minute with Bryan Cranston.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. You have Wally Moon's statistics
I do.
for Brian?
I have
You already
Wally
looked
Moon
those up?
stats. So
Okay.
Wally Moon was NL Rookie of the Year in 1954 for the St. Louis Cardinals. And then he went to the Dodgers in 1959, led the league in triples that year with 11. And then the next year in 1960, led the league in ground ball double plays.
Something happened to a wheel. One of his wheels fell
Something
off or
happened.
something.
And he had a unibrow that would make Anthony Davis
Yeah, he
jealous.
has. Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, he's still alive and hopefully very well, living in Texas, I believe.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's 86.
He's 86.
Maybe he's sitting there at home watching the
Good
Rich
for you.
Eisen Show, wondering where did my name come out of Bryan
Yeah,
Cranston?
but probably not.
That's true.
Probably not.
Odds are that's true. Do you miss Breaking Bad?
Surprisingly, I don't.
You don't.
No.
Okay.
And I think the reason is because Vince Gilligan crafted just what I think is the perfect beginning, middle, and end to a story. So because it was so complete, I had a total completion. It wasn't like, oh, God, I wish we can continue to finish our story. I don't have that feeling. It would be almost like if you had the perfect dinner with your wife, you're out, and you have a great the aperitif and a meal, fantastic. Finish it off with a little dessert and a little espresso maybe. Oh, fantastic. And someone brought out, here's another entree. And you go, I really, and if you did, it's like, God, I wish I didn't have that other, it's too much. And I, like a proud athlete who leaves the game maybe with a little left in their tank, that's better than to go, I'm totally empty. I should have quit last year. And same with a show. I want people to miss it, and I'm glad that they do. But I don't want the feeling of fans to go, like with some shows, is that still on? Oh God, it just kind of goes and goes and goes, and you're repeating storylines.
And again, you're doing such great work after that show too. The Infiltrator, as we mentioned, is in July 13th, theaters near you. All that said, there is a show currently, Better Call Saul, that is on the air right now. That is a prequel that would allow, just to hear me out here, would allow for the exploration of a part of the Walter White character that perhaps wasn't explored before.
Oh my God, that's insane. Where did you come up with this idea?
So would something like that be of interest to you?
Here's the thing.
Yes.
I owe Vince Gilligan so much. He was my champion to get this role. I was the guy coming off Malcolm in the Middle. 7 years of playing this really kind of silly, hapless dad. And he said, he's my guy. This is the guy I want. And I don't think without the creator of the show having that much insistence, that it might not have happened. So Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan now run Better Call Saul, which I think is a terrific show. And I know nothing about it other than like any other fan. I don't want to hear anything about it. I want to watch it when it comes out, and I'm tuned in. But if they were to call me and say, we have this idea, I would say yes. Before, you don't have to finish the pitch. I'm there. What do you want me to do? I would do whatever they want because I know how careful they are and proprietary they are with those characters and those storylines. And it wouldn't be something, oh, isn't that kind of a stunt casting kind of thing? It would be something kind of unique and obscure and creative, and I'm all in.
You've already shot an episode, right? You're just
What's
not
that?
telling. You've already shot an episode. You're just not telling us the
Hey,
truth.
man, come on. You're blowing my cover here. No, but I have not. In all honesty, I have not.
In all seriousness, though, would you, if given the choice, to play Walter White again as the kingpin, as the man who knocks, the one who is the danger, or the teacher before the diagnosis, which one would you prefer? Because you're at this point in time, it's all open. That's the beautiful part about Better Call Saul. It's all open.
Well, it
to
would have
whatever they'd want to do. Which one would you?
But it
prefer?
couldn't be. It couldn't be the other guy. It couldn't be Heisenberg. It would have to be Walter White, the teacher, because it's like a couple years before it happened, and throughout that I meet Saul, and then I turn.
Sure,
So-
but there would be a part maybe where, because right now we haven't seen Saul. Saul has not been created yet on the
Right,
show.
right.
So that could happen where you're Heisenberg. But
Yeah.
so you'd want to play the teacher, but before even maybe just running into him in a store or something like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
yeah, and that would be a less than interesting kind of situation, I think, don't you think? But
Sure.
yeah, it's the reason you're not a writer on the show.
I'm trying to come up with it. No, I'm trying to come up with.
I
an
can see
idea
you in
that-
pitch meetings. Hey, no, I'm teasing. I'm
I know
teasing.
I know you are. I know.
But not completely.
Well, I mean, then let's put it this way: the one who's on the ascension, or the one who's already become the Heisenberg.
I love Better Call Saul, and I don't want to get into the background of
Sure.
it. I don't even want to talk about the producing entity of it. I have an opportunity to direct an episode of Saul, and I'm debating whether I want to or not because I'm a fan of the show.
Yes.
And in order to direct, I need to know what no fan knows. I need to go back, and they'll tell me, here's what's going to happen, here's
Sure.
and then leading up to the episode. And there's a part of me that says, that would kind of kill it for me as a fan.
Yes.
To peek behind the curtain. So I don't know if I am or not.
Okay, Bryan Cranston here on the show, and now your name is associated with the Power Rangers all over the place, as it always has been. It's like now another full circle as well for you.
35 years ago, as a young stupid actor just starting out, I worked for Saban, which was the company that owns it, and we did the dubbing from the Japanese version of the television show into English. And we did it all the time, and it was a great little gig, and they were great people to work for. And it was a nice money gig that was my waiter's job, basically. And they tell me that because I was there so often doing that, they named one of the Power Rangers after me. The Blue Power Ranger is named Billy Cranston. I said, well, if you named it after me, wouldn't it be Bryan Cranston? And I thought, oh, okay. So 35 years later, I get a call. I said, we're doing the Power Rangers. And I went, oh, that's good, but I'm not, I don't want to do it. It was kind of silly. And then I talked to the producer. He said, no, hang on, listen to this. Just like the silliness of the Batman television series became an incredibly potent movie series, that's what we're doing with Power Rangers. We are completely reimagining this story. Forget the television series. This is of itself its own entity. Would you be? I said, well, no, you got me interested, And so then I read the script and I went, hey, this really is different. I saw a sizzle reel of what they've already shot, and I thought, this is pretty good. So I talked to the director, and then I said, all right, let's go. Let's do this.
I'm looking forward to that. So many
That's
people
fun.
looking forward to that. And again, congratulations on The Infiltrator. It's
Thank
a
you.
terrific
Thanks,
film.
Rich.
I give it
Appreciate
the
that.
2 enthusiastic thumbs up.
Do you really?
I
Good.
do. Yeah, and
Thanks,
I saw
man.
it. I know you thought I'm one of those hosts that didn't see it. You know, I could sense that you thought I was like, "Hey, man, great movie."
What'd you think of that scene with the elephant? Was that weird, or did it seem out of place?
I don't recall
There we go.
an elephant.
I like what you did there, though. I like
You
it.
tried. You tried. Film. Nice.
Unless it was somebody you were infiltrating and his nickname was El Elefante.
El Elefante. Good one. Okay, you passed the test.
Don't
Rich.
remember that
Thanks.
one?
Yeah,
No.
all right.
But there's nice twists and turns, and there's, you know, there
Yeah,
is
it's pretty
a,
cool.
you know, I guess some sort of like voodoo chicken scene in
Oh,
it too.
that dude is real. That was a
No,
real. Yeah.
Like
real.
What do you mean? Like
kinda-
that guy does that for a
That
living?
does that for a living.
Where
He
do you
is-
find a guy like that?
The Yellow Pages?
Just,
Let me just see here. Centurion priest, I guess they call it.
Okay.
And he's, you know, it's the bloodletting of a chicken and blowing cigar smoke in the face and taking a necklace and dropping it down.
Yeah.
And the way it falls will determine if the person you're talking about
Yes.
is true or not. It's like freaky.
yeah, it was very live and let die-ish.
Yeah.
Right there in that
Yeah.
scene. You know, it was really good.
freaky.
See, I saw it.
I'm proud of you. Thank you. I appreciate that, my friend.
And you should see it too. Go check out The Infiltrator in theaters near you July 13th. Thank you for coming on.
Rich, thanks, man.
What a pleasure.
Good to
what
see
a
you
pleasure.
again.
Bryan Cranston here in studio on The Rich Eisen Show. We're back with more in a moment.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.